Welcome, and my presentation is on creating a process evaluation model of TAMEC. So before I get started, I just want to tell you I am hearing impaired. I do have a slight speech impediment, but I only have 10 minutes, so hold your question, okay? TAMEC actually stands for the Texas Association of Museums Education Committee. It's a professional development opportunity with TAM, which is the Texas Association of Museums. Being hearing impaired in the museum field, professional development is very important to me. And about 18 months ago, they decided to make me chairperson. I'm not sure what they were thinking, but they did it. They basically had to replace the entire board of the education committee. And I went in really not knowing what going to be expected of me. So this is a process that really helped me work with my board in determining what my organization was and what we were trying to do and what we needed to do. And that's really what an evaluation is. So we came up with this process model that we're talking about. The main question was, how do we make something like an affinity group and evaluate it? An affinity group is not actually a nonprofit organization. It's associated with a nonprofit organization, hence the word affinity group. So it belongs to an association. An association is a group of members with a shared interest, usually professional interest. But it contains a porous membership, which means the membership often overlaps. And as you see here, the Texas Association of Museums is the association, and there's lots of affinity groups. And they all overlap, they all share membership. And that's really how it works together. It's a type of capacity building that's going on. And also, it has informal characteristics, which means it's not incorporated, but they still do things like have agenda meetings, they have bylaws, they have committees, they have board membership, etc. But they're not incorporated like a regular nonprofit is going to be. They have traditional meetings and non-traditional meetings. Everybody knows what a traditional meeting is. What we're doing right here is face-to-face. A non-traditional meeting is what's becoming more and more popular. It's the meetings that you have by weblog. It's the meeting you have by the phone conference. It's a meeting in the chat room. These are all types of non-traditional meeting formats that are becoming more and more popular. And affinity groups are using them more and more. My affinity group uses it a lot because we exist all the way up in the panhandle down to the coast. It's not efficient for us to have a face-to-face meeting. So we do phone conferences, and me being deaf, that doesn't work. So we do chat room meetings a lot, and we really enjoy it. So what I decided to do is I gathered my subject matter experts, a panel of about 7 people. And I knew that I was going to be communicating with them. Communication ended up playing a big part throughout the whole process of this evaluation. So I decided I needed to really look at all the different types of communication. So if you look on the front side of your handout, you're going to see the scorecard that I designed to try to figure out which communication method was going to be best for us. We looked at audio cues, nonverbal cues, that's like body language, the ability to inform past information, ability to document, accurate documentation, time, equipment, and cost. Well, the absolute worst meeting format that you can do is a phone conference. There are many better ones to choose from. We decided to use the chat room because it has a high ability to inform, it has a high ability to document, it takes the minute for you, it has low time, it's more efficient time-wise, low cost, all you have to have is the internet, and your equipment needs. You just need a computer. So you're looking at that, we decided to do the chat room. The chat room is going to be the best way for us to use it. So I went in knowing that we were going to talk about 4 things. There were 4 key themes I was going to be looking for: client, services, activities, and outcomes. So on the left-hand side, you see an excerpt from our chat dialogue that's going on here. And once I got finished, I was able to basically copy and paste the whole thing, several hours worth of dialogue. And I go through and I started highlighting the key things based on my 4 categories that I had. So clients were yellow, which is down here at the bottom. Then I had services, which were blue, activities, which were pink, and then increased connection, which was green. So I could go through the whole thing and really highlight all the key themes. And then I could go back and just look at one color and say, okay, who are the different clients that we identified? What were the different services that we provide? What are the different activities that we're doing? What are the different outcomes are we looking for? And so I was really able to go through it, and I could email it back very easily to my expert. And they could look at it and say, no, I don't agree with it. Yeah, this is good, I like this. So it was really good to use communication-wise. The one area we struggled with was outcome. So I went back to my strategic planning book, if anybody remembers strategic planning, and they had a great formula in there. And I went back and said, I created a worksheet and said, this is a formula. Let's try to create outcomes based on this formula. So that's what we did. We decided that we were going to increase membership of TAMAC, the Texas Association of Museums Education Committee, to 15%. That would be to achieve 15% annually in order to achieve 10% of the TAM membership. Because we're part of TAM. We needed to know that we were increasing TAM membership as well as our own membership. So this is what the formula, and using this, we were able to create a really good series of outcomes that work. So if you flip over to the other side of the handout, you'll see that I carried through the color coding. I'm a very visual person. It really helps when you're working with a lot of educators, they love color. So they carried it through, and by using the color coding that I had already established, I was able to really create a logic model that would help the organization evaluate itself. And it worked really well. Everybody was like, okay, I understand this, I understand where we're going, I like what we're doing. And based on that, we kind of looked at our outcomes and we said, okay, what do we want to focus on? What are the outcomes that are a priority for us? We want to survey TAM and TAMAC members. We want to increase our membership. We want to increase our annual meeting attendance. And we wanted to increase our media traffic. And the panel said, this is the things that we need to focus on. And they said, after we do these, especially after we get the surveys back, then we'll have a better idea if what we want is what the membership wants. And so we didn't want to go forward with the other outcome until we knew that we were really representing our members before we started moving forward. And this is how we created an evaluation model. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah.
Well, and listening to what you're saying tonight, it sounds to me like you've already implemented those.
Yeah, we really have. And it was kind of weird because we were supposed to have a third round. A third round was supposed to actually work more on more outcomes, really kind of get it down to the nitty gritty. But most of the panel had already just like, no, that sounds good. Let's move on. You know, let's talk about what we're going to do, how we're going to do this. So there's a lot of energy, and so instead of saying, no, let's not do that, I just went ahead and said, okay, second round's over, third round's beginning. We're talking about implementation. And we really came up with really good ways of how we were going to implement it. And I actually ended up in the chat room talking about how we're implementing it, and then calling the director of TAM and going, okay, here's what we want to do. Can we do this? Okay, no, that doesn't work. Okay, type it in. This doesn't work. We got to pick another date. Call it out. Okay, this is what they want to do. Can we do it? Okay, that's good. I mean, it was literally back and forth. So it became a much more efficient meeting than when we have face-to-face, because usually we make notes and say, okay, we need to call Ruth Ann and ask her about this. We need to ask about this. We need to ask about this. Whereas this way, I could just call her and say, will this work? And so it was better. All the members were like, we're doing chat rooms now. We're not doing anything else. Plus, there's one little story. When you work in a museum, there's a lot of come and go, tours coming, volunteers coming. So we had a couple of mishaps at some other museums. I think like a volunteer was throwing up in the bathroom, and a school tour got lost in the Houston Museum. So we had a lot of time for like BRB, be right back. They go and take care of whatever they need to do, and then they come back to the computer. So, any other questions? Yeah.
Exactly how many, it says across Texas, how many abilities or organizations do y'all deal with?
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear.
How many organizations do you deal with across Texas?
How many museums? There are 768 museums in Texas. 392 are members of TAM. That does not include individual membership. A lot of times, individuals join TAM, but not necessarily the organization. We estimate that about half the museums in Texas belong to the TAM organization, and about a little less than 10% belong to TAMAC, which is why we want to increase our membership to include more TAM members. It's a very large organization. TAM is the size of a regional organization. We get museum professionals from bordering states. Rather than go to their own conferences, they will attend our conference. So we get a lot of people who come to our museum conference. Museum professionals are a very quirky breed, as you may have figured out. Any other questions? Yeah.
How many people participated in your chat room? Do you have an idea of?
Well, we had
the same
7 panelists, and on average, I would have about 4 people who would really actively be participating. Sometimes 2 or 3 of the members couldn't participate, and they would email in, and then it would be my responsibility to say, Sarah said so-and-so about this, what do you guys think, and try to get some feedback. So email and the chat room were the best ways of communicating. And it really works well for everybody because you could really fit it into your schedule whenever you really needed to do it. So, and we did this right around the holidays, which wasn't the best planning on my part. So, but it worked better than I thought it would.
Can you explain the technology, the chassis technology that you found?
Oh yeah. So we were looking at Google Chat. Anybody know Google Chat? Okay, if you do, you know that for conference stuff it sucks. So I called my 10-year-old cousin and I told him what I was trying to do, and he said, "Oh, you need chassis." I went, "Okay." So I went online, I looked it up, and it was super easy to set up the account. And then I set it up with using the organization email. That's all it took, really. And you could set up the degrees of access. So it kind of became a virtual conference room. So when there were times when I only wanted my panelists involved, then I could just say close access to invitation only. And then I'd send the invitation out with the meeting, and then they'd log in and they'd have it. And then there were other times when we opened it up to the entire membership. And then I would say, and then I put it out on the blog, and I said, "Hey, this is what's going on. We want your feedback. Let us know what you think." And then I could say, anybody with this access could come into the conference room and join the conversation. So it worked really well because you could get a lot of different views. But mostly we work with the panel of experts.